Hello students, next topic is misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is also one of the flaws in consent. Consent should be always free. If there is misrepresentation, the contract will be voidable. Okay, so now before going into definition, misrepresentation is 99% same as fraud. If you know what is fraud is, you will definitely know what is misrepresentation is. Okay, so now what is 1% change? That 1% changes that there is no intention to deceive. In fraud, it was based upon deception. One party always intended to deceive the other party. But in misrepresentation, there is no such intention at all. You do not intend to deceive other. You might be making a false statement, but you do not believe it be false. Okay, so here you are thinking that you are making a true statement, though in reality it may be a false. But you think that it is a true and you won't deceive the counterparty here. You will think whatever the given statement is true from your opinion. But your intention is not to deceive the other party. Okay, so this is the basic difference between fraud and misrepresentation. So the definition of a misrepresentation is like it was mentioned under the section 18. So there will be a misrepresentation if all these three acts are present. Let's see one by one. The first act is when a person positively states that a fact is true when his information does not warrant it to be so. So the definition says it is a misrepresentation. When a person positively states that a fact is true. That means he is stating something that this fact will be true. However, in actual or in reality, the information does not warrant it to be so. So that means in reality, it's not true at all. He will think that the given statement is a true, but in reality, it is not true. So whatever the given statement, he will assume that it is a true. But in reality, it's not a true. It's a false one. Okay. So it's like, okay, I will give you one example. So what the example I used in fraud, the same example going to explain here also. So there are two persons, the man and the lady. The man is giving a proposal to the lady. I sell my car to you, and also he is stating that the car is made in Germany, but actually the car is made in New Delhi. So in fraud, the man knew that the car is made in Delhi, but he is stating to the lady that the car is made in Germany. So that became a fraud there. Okay, why? Because that man knew that fact is false. He wanted the lady to deceive. Okay, so in fraud, the person knew the fact. Okay, so the statement is fact. He knew the fact, whatever the statement given by him is false. Even though it is a false, he is stating to some other party. in the example in the fraud. Okay, so here you assume that the man do not know that the car is made in Delhi. Okay, so even he is on his opinion that the car is made in Germany only. He have the opinion that the car is made in Germany. So he tells to the lady that the car is made in Germany. But actually it is made in Delhi. So in this case, you can see that the statement the man making, he himself have a belief in it. He having the opinion that the car is made in Germany. But he do not want to deceive the lady. He has a belief in his own sentence and do not want to deceive the counterparty. So the basic difference between the fraud and misrepresentation is, in fraud, there is an intention to deceive. In misrepresentation, there is no intention at all. There is no intention to deceive. Okay? The second act under misrepresentation is when there is a breach of duty by a person without intention to deceive, which brings an advantage to him and also loss to the other. So almost this sentence also we explained it in fraud. In fraud, there is mentioned like promise made by a person which he does not intend to perform. Here also there is a duty on person, or he has to perform something, but he breaches it, or he does not perform it. The important thing in the second line is without intention to deceive. So now here in misrepresentation, the person is not purposively breach the duty. There is no intention to breach the duty at all. He is not intentionally breach the duty. Okay, so what does the breach of duty causes? It brings an advantage to the person. He has not performed his duty, he breaches the duty, and it brings advantage to him and also the loss to the other. I will give you an example. Let's say there are two persons, A and B. A goes to B and tell him that he want a horse. So B showed him the horse. But that horse have some internal diseases. So here in the example, it is the duty of B to tell him about the internal diseases of a horse. B is in the duty to inform A about the internal diseases of the horse. But B forgets to tell him. B forgets to tell that horse is suffering from some internal diseases. Why he forgets? Because they were so busy in negotiating for the deal. B forgets to tell him, but B did not want to deceive A. Okay, B wanted to tell him actually, but he forgot to tell him. So this is the next difference. Okay, so intention is the next difference. In fraud, intentionally the person remains silent. In fraud, intentionally the person will never open his mouth to say the true sentence. But in misrepresentation, Actually, he wants to tell the facts, but he forgot. So now, because of that because of he forgets, he gets an advantage. Here in the example, the advantage is B is selling the horse with the intention with internal diseases at the normal rate itself. Okay. Anyway, B is selling the horse to A with some diseases at the normal rate. Okay. So, and also loss to other. Who have a loss? A have a loss. So, loss to the opposite party. So, there is a breach of duty. Okay. So, this is a second act. Let's go to third act. When a party causes the other party to the agreement to make a mistake and as well as to the subject matter. So it causes the other party to make a mistake as well as the subject matter. That means, let me explain with an example. A tells to B that I would like to sell my house to you. So now what happened is, A owns two houses which are adjacent to each other. The houses are adjacent. So A tells to B that I want to sell the first house to you. So B said, okay. So B said, okay. However, when the keys are handed over to B, the keys of this house is given. So immediately B tells him that I agreed for this house only because you said first house. So again A tells to B that I termed the first house from this side. So this is the first if you have start here. Okay. So now what A has done? A has made B into an agreement and to make a mistake as the subject matter. The subject matter for A is this house and the subject matter for B is this house. So, A made B to make a mistake as to the subject matter. So, what happened is this house is represented as this house. Okay, so A thinks A mentioned or A represented one house and B represented one house. So there is a misrepresentation in the subject matter. So all these three acts implies misrepresentation. When all these three acts are presented, we can say that there is a misrepresentation is behind. If you state something or believe it to be true, that is misrepresentation. Or if you tend to breach the duty and that breach of duty gives an advantage to him and also loss to the counterparty, means that is also is come under the misrepresentation. Or you cause the other party to make a mistake as to the subject matter, that also it's related to misrepresentation. So in all these three, one point is common. What is that? That is no intention to deceive. Okay. So in fraud, there is an intention to deceive. In misrepresentation, there is no intention to deceive. This is a major difference between the fraud and misrepresentation. I hope you all understood the concept of misrepresentation and also its implications. Okay, all these three are implications. Thank you.